Hi, I'm Michael Mosick. I'm the Equipment and Facilities Supervisor for the Child Nutrition Department. And today we're going to take a look at how we remove the blade and reinstall the knife assembly on the Hobart HCM 450 cutter mixer that we have in our middle schools and high schools. Now, one thing you want to do before you go to taking it apart is you want to make sure that you have your safety cut gloves on. Anytime we're going to clean or take it apart, we want to make sure that we unplug the unit from the power. So the first thing we want to do after we've unplugged the unit is to open the lid, and we can remove the scraping blade at this time. If you move the handle in a upright position, holding on to the scraping blade, it slides off the shaft and you can remove the shaft from the lid. Now you can set these aside to be able to clean them. Then we can remove the lock nut, and as you notice here on top, it has directions on and off. So we want to remove the lock nut in the off direction, which would be. Once we want to remove the lock nut, we want to set that aside. Once we remove the knife and blade assembly, we want to make sure that we take off the seal that is at the bottom of the shaft. This seal is made of 3 pieces, and when we're going to clean it, we need to remove all 3 pieces. We want to remove the black seals that are on either side of the main white seal. And then when you go to clean them, you want to make sure that you get down into the crevices of the black seals. Once this unit is clean, we put it back together the same way we took it apart. You insert the seals back into the white ring, making sure that it is seated into the notch. And then the other one. We want to grab the base of the knife assembly and unscrew the top of the knife. And set that aside. Then we want to take all the different components apart so that we can clean it. So the first thing we want to do is remove the top single notch wedge spacer. Set that aside. We're going to remove one of the knife blades. Set that aside. Now we can remove one of the half moon keys. Set that aside. Remove the double notch wedge spacer. Remove the other knife blade. Now we can remove the other half moon spacer. And finally the last single notch wedge spacer. Now you can take all these pieces and wash them like you normally would any other piece of equipment or small wares. Now would be an excellent time to lubricate all the parts before reassembly. So now we're going to reassemble the knife assembly now that it's been cleaned. We want to make sure to remember that we have our safety gloves on. So we want to take our first single notch wedge spacer, slide it onto our base, making sure that the keyholes line up. There's no gaps and everything is smooth. Take our first half moon key spacer and insert it into the notch at this time, making sure that the flat side is out. We want to take one of our knife blades, make sure that the knife is facing in the down direction and the large oval hole is towards the key, and install that. We want to take our double notch wedge spacer and install that on the shaft. Now we want to take our other half moon spacer, install it into the other keyhole, once again with the flat side out. Take our other knife, make sure once again that the knife side is down, install it in the opposite direction over the keyhole. And then finally we take our other single notch wedge spacer and install that, making sure that everything goes on smoothly, there's no gaps, and it's flat and flush. Now we can reinstall the top part of the knife assembly, screwing that on hand tight, Now that we're ready to reinsert the knife blade assembly, we want to make sure that we put the seal back in at the bottom of the shaft. So take the seal, go around the shaft, and make sure that it's securely inserted at the bottom of the bowl. Now we can take our knife assembly and reinstall it on the shaft, making sure that it's all the way down to the bottom. Now we're going to take our lock nut and we're going to do the opposite of how we removed it. We're going to follow the off-on arrow and we're going to install it. Once again, hand tight. So now we can reinstall the bowl scraper. We want to take the piece, insert the shaft through the lid. Take this piece, insert this into the groove. And then tighten the latch down. Now we can put our product inside, close our lid, replug the power back in, and go to using the machine.